Welcome all as we congregate to the greatest toy line in community, ever growing, ever changing. As we collect and adapt these figures to our own imaginations and embrace the fun, there's much to learn, especially if you're new to Mythics. Where am I? Where am I?
Hey, everybody.
There's me. Where's Nick? There we go.
I
don't know what happened. I apologize.
Now we're together. It's all
now
good.
We're together. That's right. Welcome to New to Mythics, episode 91 with Nate Baertsch. Welcome, Nate. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. Thanks for asking. How are you doing?
I'm well. It's been a busy day, and it's been an interesting evening because of everyone wanting to talk about what's going on with the Legendary Warrior. And I kind of, I listened, but after a while, I won't say I didn't want to talk about it because it seemed like all my friends wanted to talk about it. But I was like, I understand and respect where the Horsemen are coming for where they're coming from. And I love the figure either way. Yes, I love the pieces that were made for this figure. And, I respect their decision. And that's all I feel about it. Like, I'm excited to get it. But, other than that, I don't know. It's weird.
It is weird. And working for the studio, there's not a lot I could speak to it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm a remote. I'm out in Utah. I'm not in the warehouse. I don't have to deal with on a day-to-day. I don't have to. It's frustrating. I will say this, and I think that just goes. It's probably a safe thing to say. It is frustrating, but at the same time, we're going to move forward. We're going to have fun.
Yes.
It's still a fun figure.
It is,
and I'm excited to get my hands on her as well because I think it's awesome. She still has that 1.0 head that's been sized up. That I think that's going to go a long way. And quite genuinely, if anyone really wants what they're not going to be getting, that we're a customizing community. You can do whatever you want.
Absolutely.
So it's once the figure is in your hands, you can do whatever you want.
Yes. Yeah, I've already seen my friend Keon has already painted a head for, it won't fit unless he gets an adapter, but basically showing us, hey, we can make this, and you're right, it's a customizing toy line, so it shouldn't be too hard. But I don't mean to start on a controversial note, but you and I had kind of talked about it a little bit before the show started, but I think it's a great companion piece to the figure that you showed a minute ago, Mr. Legendary Barbarian, which is such a fun figure. When you held that up, there was something that I was thinking. I was like, do they know, meaning the studio, do they know when a figure is going to be really fun, where it's really going to be, and like, I don't know, like maybe it's me. Maybe maybe Okeatis is as fun as Legendary Barbarian. I don't think so. But how do they know? Like, is it like, oh man, this figure is going to be a lot of fun, because to me, Barbarian is just an amazing fun figure.
I would say there are a lot of indicators. Obviously Jeremy and the bosses have the numbers. They know what sells and they know how much of what they sell. And so there's definitely that. I'll never forget way back when Advent of Decay was about to go. Well, it was going live. I was on the podcast Roast Google Dinner, which was a He-Man podcast. And we had Eric on as a guest to talk about specifically that Advent of Decay Kickstarter. And I remember in my brain, I was like, this is a no-brainer. Like, Trevor and myself, and numerous others, but Trevor and I like to kind of geek out about this, the fact that he and I tend to like female figures and female characters.
Me too.
So, I mean, and Eric lately has really stepped up the level of them in beautiful, beautiful ways. I feel like when I was a kid, I had no problem of having my He-Man shelf or my Star Wars shelf just full of a bunch of dudes. Didn't care as a kid. That's what you associate with. But as an adult collector, I like seeing that variety, and I feel like to flesh out a world, it's going to take both, or I mean, all genders. You know what I mean? So it's nice to see them more. And I remember thinking at that time with Advent of Decay, just being how excited I was, and almost being shocked at Eric's response, because Eric was very hesitant. He was very worried about it, because from Eric's perspective, he was coming at it from, man, historically, female action figures just don't do well.
Right.
They just do not. And they've not been the top sellers. Mythic Legion, and I would just say our Legionnaires, as CB invites us all to call all of our fans and friends Legionnaires. You've proven us wrong, because there have been waves now where the female characters have been the top sellers, which is really cool. And but it's, to kind of go back to what you were talking about, it's always been kind of fun to gauge the temperature at the studio of people, of like, what's going to go well, what isn't going to do well. And honestly, these are questions to have for Jeremy. And I know he cannot and he won't, for protection of the company, but he won't talk specific numbers, but he is as open as he can be in terms of saying, like, this or that character is absolutely a big seller. It just is. And it's kind of neat to see that. But to your point, I think whenever we go into creating new characters, I think there's the gut reaction of what we want to make and what we think is cool. And we're all collectors also. So in general, if we think it's cool, chances are probably pretty good that most other people are going to like it as well. But you never really know. And I've always appreciated that humility that goes all the way to the top in our company of they're cautiously optimistic. We all have the best hope in the world that every character is going to be awesome and a home run, but reality also tells us it's not always the case.
Right.
And it sometimes can be surprising to us, the ones that we think should be top sellers that just are not. And at the end of the day, you don't need to lose sleep over it necessarily. It is what it is, but it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I would wonder if they're ever surprised. But I think also, like, that there's sleepers, like I hear stories about, Phelan sitting on the shelves or in Big Bad Toy Store just languishing, and now you can't find her. Maybe it's just different eras of collectors, or different times, or different awarenesses of, like, hey, you know what, that figure was cool, or
And some figures are sometimes ahead of their time.
Yes,
in many respects. And then at other times, you just, and you can't predict that kind of stuff, I don't think.
Yeah.
You never know. My apologies, I'm getting over a cold.
No, you're fine.
There might be moments like that throughout this
That's
conversation.
Okay. No problem. Just glad to have you. I don't know. I'm just excited. I think it's a good time, and talking about Eric, like, I can see, even though I'm fairly new-ish to this line, I can see, like, the evolution and how the figures just keep improving upon themselves. And I even asked him, I'm like, do you compete against yourself and, like, the pressure? And he's like, I do. And I'm like, I can't imagine the pressure of, like, and I talked to him about that, but like presenting a wave, at GCon has got to be like just, this pressure. Like they've been working on it for a few years, and, from concept to design to production, and it's here, and we're, unveiling it for the first time. What's the reaction going to be? Like, that's got to be, like you're committing so much time. So not only the concept and the conversations and then the designing and the engineering, like how are we going to make this giant crab figure, like how are we going to, and then to present it, and then you're committed. Like you can't not make this giant crab figure. Like, whether the reception is warm or cold. I think it was very warm, but then you're committed to another year or two of production. Like I can't imagine that type of, but it's got to be gratifying too when, I mean, the community loves the studio. Like I was just telling, Brett or one of my other friends, like I just get so excited when there's something new, when the next new thing, and Jeremy's dangling these, new, things with the role-playing game, or, Legendary Warrior, yesterday or the day before that. It's like it just builds this excitement and this frenzy that we just can't wait to, you know, I love the creativity, and everything that Eric is making is just it's killing it.
So good. It's so good. And I geek out right there with you the whole time. Like, I mean, that I think that's all of us at the studio too. Like Joe, when he sees stuff coming off the printer and he gets to paint it, to, when I'm seeing it for the first time, like when I see a figura obscura, whenever I start on those, and I've said this on other shows, that I see the renders, because by the time I'm starting on packaging, I have to get that out of the way as soon as possible, just because those are so big. But yeah, it's exciting.
So they have it kind of down to a science for you, right? So like they
sort of most of the time, yeah.
So like they give you like a window, right? So they say maybe, okay, so if we have this figure obscura or this new, thing that we want you to paint, to coincide with the release of this or that. So like they give you like a parameter, or is it they kind of leave it open? Like how does that, can you talk about the process, or how you fit into that?
I think with figuras, they try to give me as much time as possible, just knowing that, well, and it's me and Tom now. Like Tom is helping a lot with figura stuff. And even it's interesting now too, because my role has shifted slightly. Like I'm still gonna do box art from here and there, but we're actually starting to hand some more of that stuff over. And my role is, I mean, to be blunt, and Jeremy has been open about it. Anytime he's been on a show recently talking about the lore book, he says, "We're waiting for art," and he kind of has that, like, we're waiting for art, and it's like
you can't rush art though,
Well, you can, and we do all the time, but but it is true. It's like I mean, any author or anyone that is building a book that requires a lot of illustration work in it, whether it's your first time doing it or not, those illustrations are going to take time. It's just the nature of the beast, and what it is what it is. Having said that, though, it's fun because I'm plowing through, I would say, a lot of these lore book illustrations at a rate that's faster than what I would do for box art. And I don't know if that's just because it's like, it's not quite like a comic book, but if we look at the example of a comic book, everybody knows that it's the story, and that you're on a time crunch as it is, and so you're trying to do the best as you can, as fast as you can. But what that ends up creating is really fresh artwork. A lot of times I think people can look at pieces that are done fairly quickly, and they can feel that energy in it. Sometimes when I take too long on a piece, it starts to become stiff or almost a little bit lifeless or a little bit
Mm-hmm.
flat. But if an example of that might be, I don't know if you remember the Vor, what is it? The vampire, the red vampire, Vermilius.
Mm-hmm.
Is that yeah, the second one when we needed to get that done for the Legions Con, and because Legions Con has a finite deadline, it's
Right.
like if we're going to have these figures at the show, we need to have this art well in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I only had a day to do the Vorgus
Oh
painting.
my, are you serious?
Yeah, one day. So it was like, okay, here I go.
Oh
Um, and
God.
and it's
Is
but
it, let
when
me
you
see if
look at
it's,
that piece, you can actually see that I was rushed in a sense, but you can feel the energy of
is
it.
it,
There's a
is it this
kind
one?
of a rawness. Yeah,
Okay.
it's very raw. I mean, the composition is simplified, but it's focused.
Yeah.
So I think that helps the piece. Um, and it's just one of those where you just got to kick it out and move on.
Yeah.
And it ends up being like Eric has talked about. It's like it's kind of one of his favorite pieces that I've done, just
Yeah.
because you can feel so much of that energy. Whereas like the Necronominus painting, part of it is my own fault, but I mean, I get caught in the dredges of the vastness of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the Necronominus painting, you have
Let me
finally
see
all
that.
four of the dark ones are there. We are. You just passed it. If
Did
you
I
kind of
pass
go
it?
back up,
Oh,
right?
okay. I see it. I see. Okay. This one.
Yeah. So if I mean with that guy, it took a while. Like I want
Yeah.
to say it took almost a month to do that whole
Oh
thing.
my God. But it's heavy though. Like it's,
Yeah.
important's not the right word,
But there
but
is an importance to it. I think an
yeah.
importance is part of it, and you can zoom in, and especially if you zoom in on Necronominus. I don't know. I might have another
I don't know if I can
close up
zoom
of
in.
him,
I
but
don't know if I
anyway,
know how to do that on my
that's okay.
share screen. I'm sorry, viewers. Let me see if you have another.
I don't know if I. There we
Okay,
go.
it's a little bit closer.
It's a little bit closer, but I
Yeah,
mean, all those characters. The three characters we'd already seen, but on Necronominus in particular, I packed him with detail
yeah.
more so than probably any of the others. In fact, to the point that George was like, yeah, man, I look at Necronominus and I feel like you have to go back and redo like Arethyr because I didn't put in that much time on Arethyr,
Yeah.
but for whatever reason back in the
Well,
day.
I think his design is not a knock against Eric, but I think that design is a little more simple
It is,
than the
and
design of Necronominus. I mean, you just look at the
for
figure
sure.
of Necronominus and just all the lines and the detail. I mean, you just look at that bone scarf thing that he's got. I
Yeah,
can't imagine, just the precision on that. Through your work and his sculpture too is just
and
insane.
that is so very true. Like he's found, and I think that's something that all of us are responding to as his work has evolved. Is we that historically has always been a thing, all the way back to the Masters of the Universe 2000X line when they were
Hmm.
coming out, and the stuff that they were doing in McFarlane. That was what was said over and over: is look at the details that they can pack into these things.
Hmm.
And then you look at that figure today, and you're like, I mean, yeah, it's still a good figure, but how much detail is in it compared to what they're doing today,
Right.
like that Necronominus
It just
or
it
you
just
know,
keeps getting better though, and I don't know. It spoils me, I guess. But I love the old stuff too. I don't care.
I do too.
I appreciate all of it.
Someone asked if the original Barbarian set was still relevant today. I think I saw that somewhere in the Cabal or
Hmm.
something. And I thought to myself, yeah, it absolutely
I
is.
think
It's a,
so
it's a
for sure.
gorgeous, gorgeous figure, and there's so many good relevant parts. Even though they're the first parts, they go all the way back to the beginning.
Hmm.
There's a soul there. It just works. It's
Yes,
awesome.
I agree. So what kind of guidelines do they give you if you can talk about that? Like,
Yeah,
does
getting
Eric kind
getting
of
back
paint?
to your yeah
Sorry, go ahead.
getting no just getting back to your initial question, right? Of like what kind of process do we have? Um, It varies, but I would say for the most part, we do meet on each piece that I'm expected to do. Sometimes we talk about t-shirt sizes, as it were. It's like a kind of a business term. It's like how big of a job should this be or not be? So we discuss those kinds of things. Yeah, like for example, for the lore book, I mean, Jeremy and I have had that conversation of just like, there's a painting I've got right here on my Cintiq that I'm wrapping up right now, and it's a light lift. It's a very large painting, like it spans the full spread of 2 pages fully open. You know, top to bottom, it's illustrated, but it's kind of a textural background, as it were. There's going to be text that's going to be overlaying on top of it. Versus like there's some key scenes in the book that Jeremy was very specific of, like I need like this to be one of the richest Nate Baertsch paintings, kind of a thing. And then same with the cover. Like we're gonna do a new artwork for the cover of the piece that's gonna be all brand new. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be cool, but it's going to take me a minute to get it there.
Had to be a huge, like one of the biggest projects, right, that you've ever worked on, this book, or have you done anything bigger, like more in scope than this book?
I mean, I guess if you tally up the new paintings, it will be, I would say it's similar to, no, it would be like 2 or 3 figure obscuras, probably.
Okay.
Potentially. Maybe not quite that big, but maybe that big. Because again, our figure obscuras, we're modifying and adapting those as well to kind of streamline them and help make them, not to take anything away from them. That's always a fine line that we have to kind of walk too, of like, the figure obscuras are an experience, and we want to maintain that will always be an experience, both just with the figure, but also the artwork on the packaging and the storytelling that goes on there. What's fun is bringing Tom on has been fun, because Tom and I actually came from the same background in terms of where we used to work. We used to work in children's education, and we used to do storybooks. And so we have kind of that still in our DNA a little bit, and I've said before, whenever I get to work on a figure obscura, I get to scratch that itch a little bit, that storytelling. Like it feels more like, I feel like I'm illustrating a book more than doing a piece of packaging for an action figure.
Yeah, I totally get that, for sure.
Yeah,
my wife loves the wraparound. She loves that for the different figure obscuras. She's like, these are the coolest things. I'm like, I agree. I love it. I love those.
And we have rules with those. Like, we've fallen into the idea that the inside of that outer cover should really be like the most appropriate backdrop for the figure itself. The outside of it is the moment where I get to just illustrate the character and just do a really cool painting of it. And then the box itself is really where, if there are storytelling elements, it's going to be in there. So it's kind of fun. And then the insert, George always tells us we overdo the inserts, and he's right, we probably do. But at the same time, it's just another canvas for us to play in, to add even more if we can. And so we try to do that.
Yeah, for sure. You guys are giving it 100%. And we appreciate that. You know, we appreciate that. And like you said, it's an experience. That's what I love about Figure Obscura, even more than the figures. Yes, I love like I just messaged you the other day about the scapular, the beautiful scapular painting. You know, it's nice. We turn around and we see the beautiful art in the back, but that's about it. You know what I mean? But like the Figure Obscuras, it's like, you know, you sit down and, you know, if it's Christmas, it's got the Christmas music going, and it's like a gift to ourselves, or, you know, maybe our partner gave it to us or whatever. And we open it, you know, you take off that wrapper and then you open, and you don't know if there's a surprise in there. I don't know, but you know, you're opening up the package and you see all the art. It's like a presentation, and it's just so much fun. Like, I love that. And that's something I said to Eric, is that you guys really, it seems like you really like to have fun, or, you know, it comes through. Like we experience that that fun, the surprises and stuff like that, or presentations and stuff. It's just, we feel that fun. We can feel it through the product that you guys put out for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Thank you. We'll keep trying to
keep it up. Yeah.
We'll try to keep that up. If we can improve on it, we will, but at least we need to make sure we hit that bar every time.
Absolutely. It's got to be a surprise too when, like when they present to you like a new figure obscura, because you don't really know, right? You're like, okay, what do we got today, guys? What was it today? And they're sometimes, like, here it is. It's Johnny Appleseed. Okay,
I'll poke Jeremy and Eric sometimes, be like, hey, what's coming up? What's coming up? Sometimes they tell me and sometimes they don't. And Eric knows that I like surprises, so he will intentionally be quiet from time to time, knowing that I'm just going to love the surprise. Yeah. But then also there are moments when, they'll full on disclose a variety of things that's coming down. Part of it is because I need to know and I need to prepare for it. And part of it is, especially anymore because we're doing so much, I have to determine, am I going to do it or is someone else going to do it, or, that kind of a thing. So
how do you, and we had talked about it a little bit, like, how do you decide? Is it like a level of excitement? Is it like between you and Tom, say like, you know what, I'm going to take this one, or maybe, I'll hand it off to Tom. Like, what is the deciding factor for you? Is it like excitement level? Is it the technical? This would be like, I don't feel like doing a million spider webs. Tom, can you, I'm going to tag you in on that.
It does come into play. I would say that. And one of the, I would say, perks, one of the great things about working for Four Horsemen Studios is that we're all artists. Like, everybody there is an artist. And so everybody kind of knows what it's like to be working on something that you're passionate about versus something that you're maybe not so passionate about. So sometimes it is that. And in other moments, there are, like, when I look at what some of the art needs are coming down, like, especially if I'm balancing between me and Tom is a very, he's a noodler. Like, I consider myself more of I like to be impressionistic or brushy and just, it looks like I did it quickly, but I didn't really do it quickly. You know what I mean? But but I want the end result to have it look like it was almost effortlessly, and I just did it. Even though it is a fight for me almost every painting. Like, I'm always adjusting, and it's rare. Those Voligar 2.0 paintings where I do it in a day, those are rare. Whereas Tom is one of those guys that will sit down and work on a piece, and he will pour meticulously over every single detail. And it's awesome. Like, he does such a good job on it. Like, if you look at the differences between the paintings, a good illustration of this is, look at the Gods of Egypt. If you look at the paintings that I did for the first two figures, because on the first two, that was all me. And then you go in and you look at Toth, and you look at his background that was brand new, done by Tom, and you can see, like, he gets in there and he loves all the fine details, and he meticulous. He puts a lot of polish on it. He said himself that he's very OCD, and I'm like the opposite of OCD.
Right.
I'm a scatterbox, and I just, if I can, I'll throw a paint on the canvas and just see what comes out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, but whereas he has the plan, he has to draw it out. It has to be drawn out perfectly, and then he'll go in and color it within the lines. Like, he's the kid that in the coloring book is going to stay in the lines. Right. It's going to be perfect and beautiful. And I
maybe more of a flourish and
a little bit, yeah. And then, I mean, I do have the ability, and I do from time to time stay in the lines and work up the detail, but we're just different that way. And so by the nature of that, for example, like, Jersey Devil was an interesting box because I started it. I did the concept for it. That when I was doing Jersey Devil, we did George and I had talked about, he's like, let's try a new process where I just do the concept and I do the colors and and when I say I'm doing the concept, it's like the rough sketches or the beginnings.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look through a Disney book on how they made the movie, it's when, you know, the color artist would go through and just splash color on and say, this is the mood I want, and this is kind of the
I
color
get that.
palette that should be there.
Yeah.
And so I did that a little bit. Excuse me.
You're fine.
And then I handed it over to Tom and let him just knock it all the way home.
Mm-hmm.
Like he had the plan, he knew what I was after, and I did art direct a little bit along the way, but for the most part, he knocked it home. The Mouse King was different. The Mouse King was, again, one of those where, yeah, like you were saying earlier, I wasn't feeling it, honestly. It came out of left field a little bit because I was also surprised. I was fully expecting, like everybody else, that we were going to be working on Ghost of Christmas Present.
Right.
And I get to sneak in, you know, different studio people's portraits and that kind of a thing. It's like, that's where I was going. And all of a sudden it's like, no, we're doing the Mouse King. We're doing the Mouse King this year.
You're like, wait a minute. Wait.
Womp womp.
Yeah.
In my head.
Yeah.
Not to say anything bad about the Mouse King.
No, not at all.
Love it.
Not at all.
But when I'm looking at it on paper, and then I'm thinking of Tom and his work, and I'm like, Tom loves Christmas stuff as much as I do, and as much as Jeremy and Eric do. And I could really see him having fun with it. And me personally, I'm excited to see what he would do completely on his own for this box. And so it was a different process even with that one, where I didn't do a preliminary sketch for it. I told Tom what it is. I did have a meeting with Eric and Jeremy where they kind of expressed what they would like to see on the box. But in those meetings, they're very quick conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times Eric and Jeremy will try to just keep it simple and keep it just like leave that creative door open for me or Tom or whoever works on it. Which I love, which is awesome. Every once in a while, there will be things like, for example, with the Christmas carols figures with both Marley and Ghost of Christmas Past, because Jeremy is so passionate about that story, he had a lot that he was expecting. I mean, he said it before, where like Jacob Marley, normally we have a fully illustrated piece of the whole figure on the front, but on that one, he was like, it has to be the knocker. And he's right. Like
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That was perfect. You know, the knocker was absolutely. No, that was the right choice.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like I couldn't see it. I mean, I could imagine a number of ideas of things it could be, but the knocker, it was the best way to go.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, every once in a while, Jeremy might have, or Eric sometimes will have very strong opinion one way or another. But Eric has often said, look, here's the character. This is who it is. I can't wait to see what you do.
Yeah.
Speaking of one of the last figure obscures that we just wrapped up the box on that I can't talk about, so I have to be very careful.
Okay.
It was one of those where Eric was he was excited to do the figure, and once he was done with the figure, I think he's so busy doing so many. He's managing. First of all, he's running the company.
Yes.
He's running. You know, he's sculpting everything for us. He's having to deal with a move, and so he was admittedly a little bit like, look, I fully trust you with this one. Just run with it. So there was like no direction for it. So it was up to me and Tom. So Tom and I then had that conversation of like, okay, what should we put on the box? What should we put on the cover? And so as much as I want to say we have a process, dude, it changes like every time. We laugh about it. Like George and I and Jeremy and everybody, if you look at the credits, like just the credits on the back of the boxes, George is forever teasing me and saying, why don't you just have a copy paste of the same credits every time? And I was like, George, literally the credits change almost every box. I mean, they just do. And by nature of the fact that our company's grown, by all these other things, I think actually we're to a point right now where actually the credits, whatever our most recent credits are, it's probably going to stay that way for a while. Knock on wood. Or
but I love though that you guys acknowledge everyone, you know, that has a part in the studio or that's with the studio. You guys, you know, have that on your figures and boxes and stuff. I think that's a great thing. But I think tying in with that, I feel like, and I talked to Eric about it, is like it's almost like family, like the people that work for him or with him, it's like an extension of his family, you know. And I talked to his brother Brad about it the same way. Like it's like and it kind of spreads outward. But I think with that family mentality, there's that trust. You know, he believes in your talent and your ability, so he's not going to micromanage. I think, you know, like, you know, Nate, make sure that that's, you know, I want every little, you know, I want, you know, 50 snowflakes on this, you know, and but I think he trusts, you know, you know, maybe he gives you an idea, you know, to run with. But I think, you know, I think he respects, like you said, they're all artists, like they understand the process. You don't want to stifle creativity by, you know, too many rules and too many guidelines. It takes the fun out of it too, right?
It does. It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Any company that I've ever worked for in the past, anytime they try to micromanage and boil down to micromanage stuff, it always takes the wind right out of your sails creatively. It's just like you feel dead inside a little bit, especially as a creative.
Yeah, it becomes a job instead of, you know.
I mean, there even still, like working for the Horsemen, there are days it's like, oh, this is a job. You know, I would like to take the day off and maybe have a personal day, but then the painting isn't going to paint itself.
Right.
Like I need to get on it and do it. And so you do, but at the same time, it's really easy to take a step back and look at what you get to do, and it's like, man, this is it. There is no better job. At least for me personally, there has not been a better job.
Yeah. Can you jump around on different things? So say there's a new figure obscura, there's the book, there's
I try.
So like
Jeremy especially hates it when I do that though.
I can see that.
I don't know why. He's
I can see that.
Just get it done. Well, both Jeremy and George, they're like, look, here's your job, get it done and get it out of the way. And you know what? They're right. They're absolutely right. And the nature by which we get the jobs and how much stuff there is, it's like, yes, I do know. Like it's actually sitting right here. I have this list of pieces of art that are going to be expected. And like for the lore book, like actually this list right here, I'm going to hold it kind of far away so you can't really pause and zoom on it. But there's a list here of, you know, I think I have 10 or 12 more paintings to do. And with that list, I'm at liberty to kind of hop around because it's all for the book.
Right.
So it's like,
one project, so you might be jumping around.
Yeah.
Like, let's do a forest scene, or let's do a desert with this character, or let's, you know, I could see that where you have a little bit of freedom to.
There is, but also at the end of the day too, Jeremy is watching the clock and the days go by on the calendar. So he's also like, in his mind, he has a priority list probably of which of these paintings I need to do. Because even though I have a list of 10 or 12 paintings, it's entirely possible if I take too long on any given piece, that's going to kill another piece down the road. Like it's just not going to make it to the book because at some point the reality is we have to be done with it and we have to move on because there's a mountain of work behind that. I have a dragon-sized piece of work sitting right behind that, for example. You know what I mean? So it's like
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, so on that, in that respect, George and Jeremy are correct of like, look, this is the time we have to work on this. we need to move on because there's another mountain of stuff behind it.
Yeah. I think it's hard too for artists. Um, Sometimes I think it's hard for artists to know when to say when, so maybe it's good to have
Yes.
guidelines.
Yes.
I messed with acrylic my whole life. I love painting. I'm not good at it, but I like doing it. It's relaxing. But for a personal pleasure, I can stop and not mess with that painting for a year and then come back and be like, it needs a little bit more work,
For sure.
but guidelines, it's like you have to, I guess, and maybe it helps with Jeremy emailing you like, hey, is that done yet? So maybe that helps kind of alleviate that inner responsibility of, I'm still working on it. It's not quite, what I want it to be.
Yeah. And I think it's similar for Eric too. Like he and I have talked of how he and I are kind of the only ones in the studio. Well, that's not true. I would say like Bill and Dan and those guys have similar days where it's just like, yeah, you could take forever on a piece, but we really probably shouldn't.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there has to be, and that's just working as a professional artist, I think in general. There is that famous quote that says art is never finished, it's only abandoned. And that is true.
Right. Yeah.
It's completely true because, and especially where I have worked in the past, and I actually continue to work a little bit at the studio as an art director. As an art director, you're trained to look at a piece of artwork and say to yourself, there's going to be something that can be improved. And there always is. You could look at the Mona Lisa and still say, if some of these, pull in more of this color over here, or, fix this or that, and it would improve the piece. But at what cost? You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, there are a lot of times people will look at an artist's sketches, or I'll look at a lot of Frank Frazetta's artwork, and he'll do studies of before he does the big paintings for big clients or big things. And it's like, I actually like the sketch better. You know what I mean? You can feel the raw reaction of what that piece is supposed to be sometimes in the sketch better than you can in the final.
Right. Or maybe messing with stuff too much might change the identity of, and that leads me to one of my favorite questions that I was going to ask you is Star Wars.
Yeah.
Star Wars. Yes. I saw you had that hat, and I know you're a huge fan just like me, and I love that cup. I see that cup right there. George Lucas made these amazing trilogy and didn't want to leave them alone. He waited until he had the ability to go back and make them better. So that's another example of an artist kind of fussing with something that maybe it just depends on their opinion. Should he have messed with it? I don't know. Maybe not. But
regardless, he did.
Regardless,
whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter. He did. So
yeah. So let's talk Star Wars, man.
Let's do it.
I don't know how old you are. I'm 52.
I'm just on your coattails. I'm right there with you.
So
I'm in that decade.
All right. A New Hope. My dad took me to see in the theater, and I remember seeing it and just remembered being stunned by, I don't think I ever really noticed the stars until I saw that movie, and I wanted to reenact it. I wanted to live it. I wanted to be there. Like there's a picture, and I have it on my phone, of Darth Vader. It's like the classic picture that was on the back of the storybook, where he's kind of like, you see the full costume. He's got the lightsaber.
It was the same one that was on the Underoos.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm in love with that. That's probably one of my all-time favorite pictures. But I would just stare. That in the front of the book was just C-3PO and R2-D2, just dirty, and oil is dripping from his restraining bolt. Just the detail of that, man. Oh my gosh, magic. How did Star Wars affect you? Tell me about your thoughts and feelings on Star Wars.
It's funny because I was talking a little bit about this with my son not too long ago. I've been spending more time with my mom lately. And so I'm trying to fill in holes in my head of what she remembers of the past of when I was really little, because I was only 2 years old when Star Wars came out. And I was like, I mean, my first memories, I know I knew what it was. And she's like, yeah, I took you, like you were probably 2.5 when I took you to see Star Wars, and you loved it and you had a good time. But any scientist will tell you a 2.5-year-old doesn't have long-term memory at that point, right? And I would say that's true for most of us. Most of us, we don't have a memory of being 2.5 years old, or at least we don't have very many memories if we do. So I got to fast forward to when Empire came out.
I was going to ask you, yeah. So Empire is probably more your.
It's more my speed, and I don't know if I can't remember if I've shared this story online. It's a personal story, but it's so funny, and it's telling as to why. I think most people know I have a Darth Vader outfit that I wear every Halloween.
I love that,
and I still work on it every year. I upgrade a piece here or there to make it even more screen accurate. I'm not a member of the 501st yet. My hope is to do that at some point. Along with my son. My son has likewise a very movie accurate stormtrooper costume that he wears. So that's something that he and I do together. But go back to when I'm a kid. I remember, so my uncle worked for one of the local news stations here in Salt Lake City. And Salt Lake City was one of the towns that got the premiere for Empire. Like before it was released, it was like the weekend before there was a special premiere of Empire Strikes Back. And my uncle got tickets for it. As a little kid, I had no idea that this was such a big special deal, but I went to see Empire Strikes Back with like all the news anchors of the news stations, and like the local Utah celebrities were all in attendance of this showing of Empire Strikes Back. We went to the theater. There were people dressed up in cosplay. It wasn't the actors and it wasn't the actual official costumes, but my word, to a 5-year-old kid, it was convincing. It was very, very convincing. To the point of, I remember walking up and there was Chewbacca physically standing there. And at first I'm kind of scared, this little kid, and then he just bends down and just gives me the biggest hug, and I just felt so happy and safe because I knew who he was. So clearly I had the knowledge of who all these characters were. And then we go in and we sit down, and before the movie starts, like you have all the heroes walk down the theater aisle, and then in come the bad guys. So it's Darth Vader with a couple of stormtroopers, and the whole crowd is booing, boo, it's Darth Vader, boo. And right as he gets close to where I am, I'm like, boo you, Darth Vader, kind of thing. And he literally he stops and he points his lightsaber at me.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was scared so bad that I hop under the chair and hide. And the whole theater is like laughing at this little kid that was just spooked by Darth Vader. But also, all the silliness aside, like I'll never forget watching the scroll, the text, the stars drop.
Yes.
Like my stomach dropped when the stars dropped, when the snow speeders are flying over the hills and stuff like that.
The sounds.
I felt like I was in the snow speeder. Like my gut wrenched and reacted to the movement of the speeders. Because as a 5-year-old kid, man, you think your brain is just still figuring out, is that real or not? What is it?
Right.
But I loved it, and I loved it because it was a family experience. I loved it because I loved the story, and then history follows after that. And I loved Return of the Jedi just as much as I loved Empire. My parents definitely supplied me full of toys, and as I look around this office, it's still like there's just as much He-Man stuff as there is Star Wars stuff as there is Mythic stuff and cosmic stuff. So
I see a B-wing behind you over there.
Yeah, it's all part of the DNA. That's a Lego kit, that a B-wing and an A-wing.
A-wing, love it.
Yeah, I've got the R2D2 cookie jar over there that I have goodies in that I need to stay out of. But yeah,
right.
So I mean, it's everywhere, and it always has been a family thing. I think for me and my family. So
yeah,
it's awesome.
it's really ingrained us, um, like our culture and our time. Star Wars has really embedded itself, and in future generations, it's something you could take your kids to, or eventually your grandkids, or you know what I mean. It's a good family. It's going to be fun. It's going to be scary. It's going to be thrilling. It's going to be great action.
There's going to be monsters and
It's going to be
lasers.
monsters and
Yeah,
creatures and Minox and swagger and all kinds of
all of it.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'm excited for the Mandalorian and the Grogu. Like that trailer dropped
yeah,
today, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, this looks fun.
yeah,
I am one of those guys that I like if it's a Star Wars movie, I'm watching it and I'm having a good time.
yes,
Even whether it's prequels, sequels, or originals,
I'm with you.
it's like I'm there and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah,
There are things because there are so many now, I definitely have a pecking order of what I prefer versus what I don't. And I will admit that there have been some Star Wars shows that I have felt like Disney has over Disneyfied, and it
hmm,
not in a great way.
yeah,
But it's still a good time, and you can
yeah,
still tell that a lot of amazing artists work on these things, and they love what they're doing, and it shows.
absolutely,
It
absolutely.
totally shows, and it's so yeah. I'm excited, and I'm genuinely excited for Mandalorian and Grogu.
Me too. Yeah, I didn't see the new trailer. I saw the teaser, and just how it is. I think Dave Filoni has really, and John Favreau, they really have captured, the magic, I think, of what George Lucas was trying to. That's just my opinion. Other people might,
Yeah,
you know,
I
say
would agree with
otherwise or
you.
whatever,
Yeah,
but
I mean
it's just a
Filoni.
positive. Go
Sorry,
ahead. No, I was
I
gonna
was
say it's
just
just a
gonna.
positive thing. I love the positive,
Yeah,
like you said, family, taking your family to it. There's other movies. Like my dad, I always joke, like my dad would take me to see R-rated, scary, Alien,
awesome.
Excalibur. He didn't
Yeah,
care.
yeah,
He would take me to see all that stuff. My mom was different. She would take me to see, Yentl and
yeah.
jazz singer and taps. And my dad is like, no, I'm taking my son to go see,
You're
Star
culturally
Wars.
well read.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely,
that's
absolutely.
good.
But no, I know what I'm in for, and I love that world. Like George built this world, and just experiencing it again, like with Grogu and Mandalorian. Like it makes me feel like a kid again.
Mhm.
That feeling, that excitement, that the trumpet, like the boom, like when you see the Lucas film, and it's like yes, or the crawl.
Yeah,
It's just like, oh, I'm a kid again, watching Empire or Return for the first time and seeing what Ewoks are, or them fighting that an AT-AT, or ATST, or so. I don't know. It's just it makes me happy.
yeah. We have a Bravenel Hall up in Salt Lake City. It's an orchestra symphony
Mhm.
concert house, and they were doing they would play the movie, and then but the music score was empty because the orchestra would play the music
Oh, I
score
would love that.
live. And I got tickets for just me and my wife and my three kids, and we went and saw Empire Strikes Back in this format, and it
Mhm.
was phenomenal. It was so funny too because Becca, my oldest, she was like, "Man, as soon as the trumpets went and you saw Star Wars
Mhm.
on the big screen, she was like, I actually started to cry a little bit. I was like,
Yeah,
this is something big and special."
yeah.
And it's amazing when it's like that trumpet blot was live from a
Mhm.
real trumpet
I
player.
can't imagine. I would get
It was
chills
so
if I.
cool. It was so
Yeah.
cool, and it was again, it's all right there. We had a good time. It was amazing to me also to watch Empire Strikes Back in a room full of an audience that obviously all of us have seen the movie already.
Mhm.
But it's so fun to be in that experience together and to react all together.
Mhm.
I didn't I don't know if when I think of, I don't know what you think of when you think of Empire Strikes Back, but for me, it's like it's the middle act of the play. It's where everything goes wrong, and it's kind of a darker
The
toned
bad
movie.
guys win, and
Yeah, the
yeah,
Empire did strike back, and they hit hard.
yeah,
But there's a lot of humor, like a
mm,
lot more. It was interesting listening to the audience and having people laugh so much, and I was like, part of it is because we all know what's coming and we know the jokes are coming and we know what the punchline is, but to react together and embrace it as it's happening with live music, it's an experience still, like almost 50 years later, it's still an
right,
experience.
yeah. No, I
But
totally agree. And just thinking about the progression of Star Wars and you know how the struggles that he went through to make the movie and the production design, you know, they only had so much money and they went over budget and yada yada yada. And then you see this Empire Strikes Back and it's like just lush, you know, like the budget that they had, you know, I'm thinking Cloud City, you know, and the Millennium Falcon landing on the platform and Slave One, just like all the costumes and the sets, you know, like the battle on Hoth with all the extras, you know, like it was a huge jump, I think, from Star Wars, which to me is a masterpiece. I mean, all three are masterpieces in their own way, but
yep.
you know, you see Star Wars as kind of like a basic, you know, boy meets girl and, you know, boy rescues girl. And, you know, it's kind of like a simple story.
Mm-hmm.
And then you jump to part two and it's just this whole world, like all these
The
war,
world
you know,
opened up. Yeah.
yeah, it opened up and it was just so rich. You know, all these different planets, you know, he goes to see Yoda and you know, you don't know what's gonna happen. You
You
know,
didn't even
he's
know what
fighting.
Yoda was.
I had
I
no
remember
idea.
feeling that way of like he's gonna go to Dagobah. I know he's going to see this great Jedi Master,
Mhm.
and it's this little gremlin frog guy.
Yeah, yeah, like
You're just like,
what is going on here?
and we didn't know. Like
Yeah,
as a kid, I was like, I don't know what this thing is, and all of a sudden, I was like, really? Like when Luke was shocked to find out Yoda was the
yeah,
master he was looking for. I remember equally being shocked right there with
yeah,
Luke
for
as a
sure. I
kid.
mean, that there was a lot of shocks in that movie for sure, you know, but
I remember geeking out with my uncles afterwards, the "I am your father" moment.
mhm,
Like none of my uncles believed it. We're going back to grandma's house to talk about the movie,
yeah,
and I remember them all standing around like, "No way, Darth Vader's lying. That can't be right. There's
he's
no
tricking
way."
them. That's not.
Right.
There's no way. There's no way. Yeah,
So
that.
it's fun to have those memories. Then Return of the Jedi was I didn't get to see it as early, and Return of the Jedi was when I learned it sucks to be spoiled.
Mhm.
Because like every kid in my elementary school class had gone to see it, and so all the recess talk was about Return of the Jedi.
Oh,
And they're like, "Yeah,
absolutely.
Darth Vader dies, and Boba
You're
Fett
like, wait,
dies." And
what, guys?
I'm
Come on.
like, "What? Like, who
Yeah,
lives in this thing? What happens in this
yeah,
movie?"
yeah,
So yeah, it's funny.
yeah. I was 10, and that's all kids were talking about was that movie. Like that was the
Yeah,
event of the year. You know,
for
was
sure.
was that movie. Um, and then the end of it. You know, like it's over. Like now what? Now what do we?
Yeah,
You know, what do we got now? The Ewok movies? Come
yeah.
on. Like I want more.
Which I was all for it. I loved those.
They
I
were fun.
yeah.
I started reading the books, you know, like Alan Dean Foster and Splinter in the Mind's Eye and Han
Yes,
Solo's Revenge and all those cool books and stuff. I love that.
that's awesome.
I wanted more. I wanted more for sure. But I don't know. It's
Absolutely.
just that world. I don't know. It just the whole thing just makes me happy.
It's
Yeah,
definitely a happy place for me, and continues to be. It's
yeah.
interesting because in my career, I've been very lucky and blessed, and I don't take it for granted. And I'm grateful that I've been able to work on Masters of the Universe and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and
Mhm.
Thundercats and all this stuff. And I get to work with all my best friends making toys, and we get to do what we do with the Horsemen. You know, it's awesome. But I've never pursued, nor will I ever pursue, working on Star Wars. I
Mhm.
just Like, would I love to? I'm sure there's a big part of me that would love to. Like, I'd love to. In fact, I just posted the other day some fan art that I had done years ago of Princess Leia. I did it shortly after she passed.
Is it on Instagram?
No, it's on my Facebook. It's on my
Oh,
cover. It's her. At the time, I was studying a lot of, and I kind of want to go back to Albrecht Thayer. Is
hmm
that right? He's an old classic painter that would paint women in this beautiful angelic way, and he would paint nice these robes and wings and stuff. And I remember Carrie had just passed, and so I just thought I would do
oh,
a fan
okay.
art piece of her.
Wow, that's beautiful. Let me see.
And so I do have Star Wars fan art here and there that I've done, but like in an official capacity, I don't know that I want to.
Really, is it like not a world that you would want to?
I don't want to taint it.
Yeah, and I
You
no,
know what I
I
mean?
get that.
Yeah.
I get that. Is that showing up for you? You
Yep.
see that? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw this. I think I saw this the other day, and thought it was beautiful. But I think I was at lunch, so I didn't really get to really digest what I was looking at.
And I think a lot that's the thing about this piece is it's not in your face.
Yeah.
It's like if you look at it, it's like, yeah, I think that's Carrie Fisher. I think that's Princess Leia. But it's in a way that you've never seen that character
hmm
before because it's just out of my head.
hmm
And it's the only way you really know is if you click on it and zoom out, you see that that red shape behind
Oh
her is
wow.
the rebel. It's the rebel
Yes.
symbol.
When did you do this, Nate? How long ago was this?
It was shortly after she passed, which so
Okay.
that would have been is that 7 years ago, 8 years ago,
Yeah.
something
Can
like
you
that.
believe that?
That's bonkers.
I know exactly where I was too. That was crazy. That
That one
really
that
hit
hit
me.
hard.
Yeah,
Yes.
that really hit me. I was not prepared for that. My friend Fernando had texted me. I was at a like a swap meet thing in Fresno, California. Just killing time. I was off that day, just walking around. He's like, "Dude, did you hear?" And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Princess Leia." I'm like, "No."
I
And I just
legitimately cried. Like,
was not ready for that.
yeah. There are celebrities kind of come and go, and there are many celebrities that I do respect and love that have passed that
Mm,
I was like I felt bad about, but in her case I broke down and cried a bit
yeah,
for a while because I was like that one hurts.
yeah.
Because it hurt because again, I mean it whether they want to be or not, it doesn't matter. In my head, they're kind of a part of my family.
I was just
You
gonna
know what I
make that
mean?
point. Yeah, Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill. Like
Yeah.
I grew up idolizing all of them. And wanting to be in those adventures with them.
Mm-hmm.
As cheesy as it sounds, hand me a
No,
blaster. I'll help you guys out. Let's
right.
go. You
Yeah.
know, I,
That's why I
I
still
just,
tinker. Like I'm playing with right now, building a. This is not a real firearm, but man, it looks like one.
yeah.
But this is a kit to. I'm going to turn this into a Luke Skywalker blaster, but it's based on an actual,
hmm
like
Is that,
functioning.
what do they call that gun? Like a Mauser? They
It's
call
a
it,
it's a C96 Mauser.
yeah,
This is a replica. You can't fire it. The whole barrel is solid.
yeah.
Like there's this is not a firearm, even though it functions and works just like one. And I can put electronics in it at some point, and I can put all the greeblies and things that will make it Luke's. Um, but I do. It's those are my hobbies. That's
hmm
like I still have to be creative in my own hobbies. Like I'm not going to
For
ever
sure.
escape it, and that's okay.
Yeah, I think, and I don't know. I've never worked as an artist before, but I imagine like there's your work um, that you have to do,
Mhm.
but like I imagine that there's other things that would like maybe cleanse your palate, or like you're being creative in another way, and
Yep.
that maybe is satisfying for you. You know.
It's exactly that. So and I think that's why I hold Star Wars stuff in reserve. Like Star Wars stuff for me and my brain is that's going to be just for me, and it's not for anybody else.
Mhm.
Let me rephrase that. It's for me and my family because, like I said, it's definitely something that I bond with my kids with and my wife with and that kind of thing. She tolerates it. She's not.
I get
She
that
she
totally.
knows. She knew when she married me that I was a big Star Wars nerd. And then I think after we were married, I continued to surprise her with how really nerdy I truly
Right.
was. She
the
claims that I was
depth
hiding a lot of
the
it, but
depths of your nerdiness.
yeah, I was like, I wasn't hiding any of it. It's just that the conversations didn't come up. So
Right.
you saw me collecting action figures.
Yeah.
I wasn't hiding anything.
But it's part of the fabric of us. Like,
Yeah.
Star Wars means so much, and it's something that I've noticed. Like, some people are like, I don't get Star Wars, or I thought it was stupid, or I didn't see it. And in my brain, I'm like, wait. Of course you have your opinion, no problem. I have no problem with that.
Sure.
But like, it's hard for me to see Star Wars as a movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's to me, it's so much more. But to try and like describe that, it's kind of like the community that we know and love, the Cabal and all that. It's hard to just, it's a toy line, and there's friends that like the toy line or love the toy line, and we hang out. Like, it doesn't do justice. There's a movie that came out in 1977, and all these actors were kind of new. Harrison Ford did American Graffiti, and
Right.
and George Lucas did American Graffiti and THX, and decided he wanted to do this serial kind of a Flash Gordon movie. But it's so much more than what the parts. It's so much more. But maybe it's just to us. Maybe it was just something magical, that came at the right time and really piqued a lot of people's interests. Or it I don't know, maybe it was the right thing at the right time. But it's not for everybody, which is weird to me.
I know. It's not. And it's true. I get that. You get almost evangelistic about it, of like, how can you not see the
it's weird. It's
joy,
it's not
and
magical.
the goodness of it.
To you?
But yeah.
It's Chewbacca,
I know. I hugged him when I was 5. How could you not love him?
Did you meet any of the actors? Have you done that? Have you met any of them?
No. I mean, I saw Mark Hamill in passing at San Diego Comic-Con once.
Sweet.
And it's like, it was weird. It was one of those things. I was actually at the Horseman booth with them, and where their booth was situated, we would actually see a number of celebrities, because it was kind of the back alley towards Hall H, or whatever the big hall was that they would go to for their big presentations. And so every once in a while you would see a big name walk just right by. And I remember Mark Hamill walking by. And then the weird thing is, then I met George Gaspar at San Diego Comic-Con, and he obviously was already a friend of Eric and CB and Jim and those guys. And so, but George Gaspar was at the time when I was going to these shows, was friends with Nathan Hamill, who is Mark Hamill's son.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Nathan Hamill was really into a lot of the indie toy stuff that George was into, and helping produce and working with artists and all this stuff. So he was very much all in that same scene. And I just remember meeting Nathan Hamill and like shaking his hand, and we talked for maybe 2 or 3 minutes tops, kind of a thing, and moved on. And it didn't even hit me that was Mark Hamill's kid. Like, it was like we were just geeking out about art toys.
Right.
It didn't even, and then it was later that I realized, oh my gosh, that was Nathan Hamill. Like, I could have really, embarrassed myself and just geeked out on it. But the cool thing is to later learn that Nathan Hamill is just as big a Star Wars nerd as anyone else.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
And he has an even deeper or different perspective through all of that, because some of his first memories are being on the set of like Return of the Jedi and stuff like that. So it's like, that's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. But no, I'm not a celebrity chaser necessarily.
I was going to ask you that. Like, you're like, they're people just like us.
Right.
But sometimes,
Yeah, I mean, if I have an opportunity to sit down with someone, I'll take it. but I'm not going to stand in a line and pay however much money I need to pay.
Kind of takes the something out of it. Kind of takes the soul out of it a little bit, you know.
I think
It's like a
so. At least it does
transaction.
for me. Yeah. I mean, I get that there are people out there that like that's what they thrive and they love to do that, and it is cool because then they do get to meet and talk to those people. But I'm kind of more like you, where it's like you said, where it's just like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay you to be my friend for 5 minutes.
Yes, thank you. And it's
Yeah.
almost like, you know, like I love Harrison Ford, but I
Yeah.
don't know Harrison Ford. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I've seen interviews, but I love the movies that he's done, like, you know, Han Solo and Indiana Jones. Like I love this guy, but I don't know him. You know, but I love
Yeah.
the characters. I love,
Yes.
you know, and without, you know, if it was Tom Selleck, you know, it would be so weird. But, you know,
And it
like,
almost was.
yeah,
That's the crazy
almost
thing.
was. But,
Yeah.
you know, like,
At least for Indiana Jones. I don't
they've
know if
kind
he
of
was in the running for.
transcended. Who
Yeah.
was going to be a Han Solo? I forget. It was,
I think Kurt Russell read for it at one point.
yeah.
A number of people. Oh, there was a funny one. I can't remember now. It'll come to me later, but
Somebody will
there.
mention it in the comments or something. Like, it was going to be, you know,
Yeah.
it was going to be, wait, there was somebody, and it was like, wait, who? I just thought of it. It was like
Not Christopher Walken. Was it?
maybe there was a few guys that
Yeah.
that were kind of, but anyways, my point is like, you know, the role kind of transcended. You know, it's like the person made that, you know, that them come alive, but you know, we know that Mark Hamill is not Luke Skywalker. You know,
Right.
or most of us know
Most
that.
of us.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
but you know what I mean.
Right.
Like they did something and made that. You know, it's the movie, not necessarily, you know, the individual parts. It's everything that worked together, that made Star Wars magical. But you know, like I don't need to meet them. It would be great. I would be like, you know, I loved your stuff. I did meet Peter Mayhew just for a second as Chewbacca, and he was super, super, super nice and gracious. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess I did have that moment, not with Star Wars characters, with He-Man stuff.
Did you?
Because at PowerCon, Val was always very good. I mean, I had access to the green room at PowerCon because I'm a guest there. And you run into celebrities in the green room because that's where celebrities dip to kind of get out of the way and kind of refresh and whatnot. So remember sitting at a table and eating lunch with Anthony DeLongis, who was Blade in the 1987 Masters of the Universe movie. And that was a fun conversation, but he's just like, as a person, he's this just cool old cowboy guy, you know?
Yeah.
And then I remember also at PowerCon meeting Meg Foster.
Oh yeah, I know exactly who that is. Yeah.
Yeah, she was Evelyn, and she's still to this day, even though she's, we'll just say, seasoned in age,
right,
in maturity.
It's a nice way to say that. Yeah.
She's those eyes are piercing and beautiful and amazing.
Piercing.
And I remember I only had a minute, and I'm walking by, and she happened to stand up, and we were crossing paths, and I've always said to myself, if I see a celebrity that I know what they're in, and I don't want to take a lot of their time or be awkward or weird. I just want to say thank you so much for being who you are and taking the role that you did and bringing such a beloved character to life. And I said something similar to that to her in passing, and she stopped and she just looked at me with those eyes, and she was just like, thank you so much. And then she reaches out and gives me a hug.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just like, I wasn't expecting this, but holy cow, this is
thank
awesome.
You. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Amazing. And the thing is that she didn't just do that for me. Like, if you talk to any of the fans that were at PowerCon and got to interact with Meg Foster, she treated everybody that way. Like, she's just an amazing human being that's just full of love and appreciation.
I love hearing stories like that. Yeah, where the actors kind of appreciate and understand where they came from and how they have ascended that, you know, maybe a pedestal that people put them on, but they appreciate, the fans and all that, and don't take that for granted. So it's nice to see, that type of cool behavior.
It was fun.
For
Another
sure.
one more, I guess, celebrity storytelling. Sure. And this is relevant. All of our Four Horsemen fans listening to the show or new to Mythics are like, why are we talking all about all this other stuff other than Mythics? That's okay. That's what
That's all right.
This is a conversation, and I love it.
Yes, thank you.
So, something that I think I can talk about now, and it doesn't matter because it was years ago. It's not a secret. I have done and continue to have done work for Tweeterhead. Tweeterhead's a company that does statues.
Okay.
They do a lot of the legendary, Masters of the Universe statues. David Igo is kind of the main creative director there. But Chad Colbank is the guy that runs the company, owner of the company. And Chad and I met years and years ago, and it was back when he was just doing like garage kits of cool statues.
Mm-hmm.
He had finally gotten, I think, or he had just gotten the Masters of the Universe license, and that's when we were starting to do designs for the big legendary statues that Sideshow produced and distributed. But during that time, I went down to PowerCon, met up with Eric and CB and Jim, and then also with Chad, because Chad wanted Four Horsemen to do an action figure of Elvira.
Okay.
So we got to have lunch with none other than Cassandra Peterson,
That's
who is Elvira.
That's got to be surreal. Like, what am I doing here? This is crazy.
That was amazing. It was, and she is another one of those where she is just so beautiful and wonderful in person, and just very gracious and very kind. I remember it was just an interesting meeting because I was there because I was going to drop the design sheets for the figure, and so I did. And the Horsemen, at some point, Chad was trying to fund and get us to do the action figure of Elvira, and it's going to be a lot of fun, but it never took off for whatever reason. Neither here nor there, but either way, it got us a lunch meeting with Cassandra Peterson, which was
awesome.
Just awesome. And it was wild too, because that's just another one of those little side stories that also involved Four Horsemen.
Mm-hmm.
And none of us know. It's probably the first time anyone's publicly said anything about it. So there you go. There's your scoop.
Thank you.
If we have our little four-ish horsemen o'clock, the scoop there.
Yes. Yeah. The scoop. I did have a few questions. And then I will let you go because we're almost an hour and a half. I had a few questions and I wanted to get to those. One of them was like your technical, like what do you use? And this is for people that might be interested in maybe pursuing a career in art. What do you use for my dogs? What do you use, like your technology? And then also, how do you feel about digital versus the traditional medium?
Sure. I just actually recently answered this question for a fan that had messaged me privately. But essentially, I mean, it all starts, anything that you're going to learn about how you illustrate, how you draw, how you produce art, you're going to figure that out on your own in many respects, but you have to do it. I say this a lot at Intern. You have to draw everything, and whether it's traditional or digital doesn't matter. We live in a day where, like what you see me hitting here, this is my Cintiq tablet. This is what I work on. This is what I produce all the artwork that you guys have seen me do on. But it works like with a stylus. It's like a pen or a pencil, and I'm drawing directly on the screen, much like a painter on a canvas or an easel. And that's just how I like to work. I know that it's interesting because in my art career, I started out at an ad agency where I had to draw with Prismacolor pencils on tracing paper, and I would produce storyboard after storyboard for an ad agency. And so I'm just kicking them out. Like, I've got all my drawing stuff, and so I learned how to do everything physically, traditionally. And then it was at that time, it was the late 90s, early 2000s when everything was transitioning over to digital or basically Photoshop. So I learned Photoshop, and around that same time there were a variety of, like, there was Corel Painter was a program that had come
I remember
out.
that.
There was, you know, we had moved past MS Paint. If you want to go back into the 90s.
Yeah, I remember that too.
And anyway, it's just, it doesn't matter, whatever the tool is or media is, I would say just do it. Just do the artwork, and experiment with a variety of things, especially if you're starting out. Me personally, I landed on loving Photoshop. Like, I love the program. I've been with it for almost 30 years now, maybe over 30 years. Is that right? No, can't be, because we're in 2026. But a good 25 years, easily.
Yeah.
And so that's just how it worked.
So you embrace technology. You didn't say like...
I did. I embraced digital painting for sure. And I did embrace technology, and I still do embrace technology. Although in today's current climate with AI, I am very anti-AI. Because that's not, typing in a prompt does not make you an artist.
Absolutely.
Never. So I mean and I think the rest of the world is realizing that is true, and I think most of us have evolved finally to say true. It was interesting. Eric and I had a conversation when I was back out there for LegionsCon in November, and we did have a little side discussion of like, what is AI going to look like? And as a company at Four Horsemen Studios, you know, we don't do AI. We're not going to do AI. It's like we're all artists, so what you're going to buy is coming from us. We just don't use AI. As much as I'm sure George and Chris and maybe sometimes Jeremy would love it if I just said, Nate, just punch in a prompt and kick the painting out. I need it today.
There you go.
As much as I'm sure they would love that.
Chat GPT, using Nate Baertsch style, make me an elf in a tree.
Yeah.
Here you go, Jeremy. Send.
There it is. Done.
There it is.
But we'd be robbing. I feel like we'd be robbing all of our. It would be dishonest to all of our fans. It would be. It sits with a bad taste in our mouth. However, we're fully aware and we're watching at what it's doing, because I'm sure in the industry it's gonna continue to evolve and do its own thing.
Right.
Maybe, but again, the public is reacting to AI in a way that's interesting. Like, the public knows it's not real art, and anytime a non-artist realizes that a piece of art is AI, they shut off and they don't interact with the artwork.
Yeah.
I mean, that's proven over and over. But the minute you do see a piece of artwork that's done by a human being, you fall into it naturally, like the artist hopes that you will do.
Right. Yeah, you can tell. I think you can tell the difference between, you know, art and what's generated by a computer. You know, art has a soul. Art has personality. Art has, you know, that something that the artist is putting into it that can't be computer generated, I don't think. You know.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I think that's where we're standing today. What will that look like 5 years from now, or even 10 years from now? Don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know. But what it has done for me personally, like at this last LegionsCon, I brought a painting, like an actual physical oil painting that I sold. Next LegionsCon, I'm going to do the same thing. I love that
too, by the way. That was beautiful. That was awesome. Yeah, no problem. It was cool to see, and I was gonna mention that Princess Leia. Like, it's neat to see your art that's not mythic or cosmic or figure obscura. It's, you know, a different. I mean, it's still your art, but it's neat to see something different that's not in that world.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So for me, digital or traditional, there's a place for both. At the end of the day, it's the artist using whatever tool that the artist is using.
Yeah. And don't be lazy, be creative. Yeah. Get out there and do stuff, you know. Create.
Exactly. And even when I create digitally, I work differently than probably a lot of other digital artists.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of digital artists will photo clip and make and do all kinds of things, and I still approach it in a traditional way. Like you, in any of my paintings that you see on the box, it's like I did all those brush strokes. Like I
Mm-hmm.
didn't, you know, if I need to make something glow, then I'll play with either a blend mode or something like that. But it's never, I don't go heavy or laborious in a variety of actions that I know Photoshop could do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's still you doing the work. You're not like, pressing a button to make a fire. Like
there is
you're
one area where I
actually,
do cheat. And I don't know that I cheat, but I do use like for example, if you look at the Father Christmas packaging and you look at the lettering and how it looks like this beveled gold
mm-hmm.
intricate thing, I picked the font and I placed it, and then I did put a Photoshop effect on it of bevel and
Mm-hmm.
emboss to make it look like it was cut and chiseled and that kind of a thing. So I mean, there are little tools like that here and there that I'll do, but in the actual paintings themselves, it's like, no, I'm doing the painting. I'm doing that
Yeah.
work. You're seeing my brushstrokes. You're seeing my hand in
Mm-hmm.
it, as it were.
And I recommend maybe newer fans that haven't had a chance, definitely try to make Intern, because it's so cool to see all you guys, like you said earlier, everyone is an artist. And so to see you, sitting down and showing us, like, I think you were altering the color of the sky or the sunset or something in the last Intern. And Eric was sculpting from, looked like it was clay, but it was on the screen, using ZBrush. And Cameron was, painting a picture um, of his swords and like how he changes the color and how the
Yep.
color can change, your perception of what's going on or what, the sword has been through and stuff. So I definitely recommend people that have not been to Intern to definitely try every year to go, because it's an amazing experience to see, a collection of really talented people come together and make some amazing toys and art and stuff. So I recommend that. I think it's a great thing that you guys do, and it's cool that you partake. You fly all the way from Utah and hang out with goobers like us, and show us, let us into you guys' studio and show us the process is super super cool thing. I don't know any place other than Willy Wonka that does that. I think it's pretty rad.
That's, yeah. You could compare us to the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I do. I
It's a
totally
little bit
do.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I
crazy.
love it. It is my favorite week of the year, is
Mm.
that Legion's week, and kicking it off with Intern is so much fun.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah,
is.
absolutely. It's a blast. Well, I'm gonna let you go. It's 9:30 and my dogs, I think, want to go outside. So I'm gonna go let them out. But I would love to have another conversation again with you.
You bet.
I had a great time. I think there's more Star Wars. We can always, talk more Star Wars. We'll delve
Cool.
into the new trilogy and what's to come and all that stuff, and
You bet.
Clone Wars and all the cool things that are
Fun stuff.
Star Wars related. So I don't care if anyone doesn't want to hear it. I want to talk Star Wars with you.
Right on. I'm here for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Nate. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. And I hope that we can have a part 2 sometime.
Absolutely. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you, Nate. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you. Remember, friends, to always have fun, be curious, share, and enjoy what this line has to offer. Come for the toys, but stay for the friends. Good night, and thank you very much.